right, we've got Chult by Venger Satanis to look at. And this is going to be a adult video, so it's going to have some art and stuff in it that is for mature people, I would say. So I like the cover. It looks good. This is a setting and a mega dungeon, a couple of adventures, and a couple of locales. For his post-apocalyptic Gonzo, Eldritch, Dune, pop culture, wizards, old ones, space stuff, technology, aliens. It's just a whole bunch of everything crammed into Chult. And you're going to have a lot of apostrophes. I do not say them. I just go straight through it. So it's Chult. It's not Chult. I can't spend time on that little stutter step, so I'm not going to do it. But it's a very good looking book. I mean, I really like the way it looks. It's, you know, this is not a print on demand. This is a real production here. And we're going to go through it. You've got the table of contents. And the main thing that you need to gather from this game, one of the main early introductions, is that this is a parody. It is satire. And a lot of it is just to have fun. One thing I'll say is I didn't see any errors, typos, or anything. So this has been very well proofread by Martin Ttrpg, I guess his name is. He did an excellent job. I haven't noticed any errors, which I think is surprising, it seems, nowadays. And so you've got the foreword here from Venger, and I highly recommend you read this foreword. It really explains what he was trying to do, how you should have fun with it, make it awesome. He says go with the flow, and you definitely should. Now, this is not going to be a product for everyone. And I think as I go through it, you'll see whether or not it's a product for you or not. It's a product for me. I think it's cool. It's got a lot of neat ideas. And Venger and I are about the same age. He's a little bit older than me, just like a year or two. And so a lot of his references from pop culture, movies, TV shows, and stuff like that, I get. And so, I mean, it's kind of fun for me to find them and to know that I know what he's talking about or know what this is in reference to. Obviously, he's highly inspired by Dune. I love Dune as well. So you'll see a lot of Dune motifs and stuff like that that very much looks like it. And that's kind of how it goes. We take our inspirations from stuff we love, and he took a lot of the stuff from stuff he loves. You've got this this map here, and it shows a lot of different places. I like how he's got weeks and day travel. That's cool. Chartreuse Sea, there is a lot of like blood stains and like blood pulled up on the pages as the art is, and that's fine. I think it looks cool. Gives some, you know, some of the white space, a little something there. And you've got the history. The history is pretty cool. It's a pseudo-medieval land of elves, dwarves, snake men, clerics, magic users, and dragons. And the old ones came and they destroyed a lot of stuff. And then they got tired and they went to sleep. And during that time, the people who survived, they turned to technology. And their technology made them get introduced to aliens and more technology. And then the old ones woke up and they were pissed because they were no longer remembered. And so they had a big war and the tech won, ushering in the apocalypse. And now it is the Obsidian Age. And Chult means greatness by way of suffering. And so Skaba here is the desert. So, you know, with a lot of these names, you're just going to go with it. Just say what you think is how it's pronounced, just whatever. And then we're going to go into a bit of about the land, crossing the desert, wearing armor, radiation. You've got a lot of some art that's actual pictures. Some people might like that or not. It was a little bit kind of jarring when I first saw it, but I think it works with his setting. And then you've got places to visit. Kratomek's a big city. Gillette's a city that's matriarchy ruled by women. Agrabah is your Aladdin-type massive city of Arabian Nights. The Dome City, Great Sunken Library, Crimson Rock of Sacrifice. Here, this piece of art is cool. Obviously it shows the sky of Chult with its fuchsia color. And then you've got the big sandworm. The Chartreuse Sea, the Gamma Incel Cantina. And yes, he has a lot of play of kind of current themes that may not be so, may not age too well in the future. Vega Corso. A lot of little drawings and stuff like this, little like glyphs and whatnot. I do like his stat block here. Very easy for anything kind of OSR or modern D&D, as you have Ascending Armor class. You have 1 save. It's a 16 plus for these Desperados here. The special and their treasure. There's not a whole bunch to it, and it's easy to port into pretty much any game. Ascendus, I guess that's how you say it, which is a big technology, strong tech place, outpost, and faction. Then you've got a list of factions, a lot of turds, a lot of evil people, droids that want to kill you, spice frackers, pretty much, you know, for Dune, trying to get the melange. Deathstalkers are kind of like your Australians with their spikes and human skins, random pieces of armor, mohawks, and whatnot. Cannibals, very nasty. That's going to be kind of like your Mad Max type goobers right there. Dharma Initiative, I guess that's from Lost, and it's a sect of sorcerers and scientists. You've got some creatures, obviously sandworms, Garthruls, which are kind of like alien dinosaurs. You can see the piece of art here. That works well. And we're going to get to our first piece of art that is a little adult, as someone's showing some skin, it looks like. And this is a pretty nasty monster, and yeah, this is kind of one of those shocking things. Kaboom. So, and that's where I want to start talking about what Venger does. So, you know, Venger creates stuff that obviously people want. And just like throughout entertainment, there's always been stuff that kind of push the level for some people, and went to places that other people are not so comfortable with. But there'll always be there'll always be customers that want that stuff. There'll always be a consumer that likes that type of stuff. If this is not for you, then it's not for you. But at least you're getting to see exactly what's in it, and whether or not you'd like it. So that stuff's never going to change. You're going to have your 2 live crews. You're going to have your adult films. And yeah, this is pushing the envelope a little bit with, you know, some smutty, you know, sex stuff. And if you don't like that, no one's forcing you to play that stuff. So just ignore it. You know, it's kind of like your teeth. If you ignore them, they'll go away. And so for you, they won't be there. Don't worry about it. And then it's got a bunch of races, and they're a bunch of elves. Infernal, Moon, Blood, Sky, Midnight, Sun. They've got some abilities. They get, you know, some resistances. They get some advantage and disadvantage. And then some rules here about such as what that is, saving throws. Here's some names with a bunch of, yeah, it's got, you know, there's some of them I'm like Squio, Dezine, Parev, Mato. There's going to be a lot of apostrophes. And then some critical failure type stuff. And then you've got Beneath Kradumek, City of the Purple Demon Worm. That's the same name as the Demon Worm. This is a dungeon crawl. I would like to have seen the map placed right behind the name, just so I like to have the map up front, just so I can kind of see in my head already what the design is. And also kind of know exactly where it is in the book. And so this is going to be kind of an introduction to you know, how to kind of play and introduce encounters and stuff like that. Now, I will say that I enjoy these sections here about these different areas, and I would have loved for them to have been expanded on. Now, this is the first of 3 books, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this book, and then when I talk about the second one in another video, they'll kind of be conjoined, you know, so I'll talk about what was in this and what's in that to get the overall picture. But for this first book, I would have loved to have seen a bigger section of this, maybe take out one of the scenarios, because the Black Pyramid is very big, and it's obviously a huge amount of work. And then expanded on these different towns. I would love to see some of the art had been what the towns look like. And I like any piece of art that does show kind of what the populace of Chult is. But that's just kind of that gazetteer lover in me to have a little bit more information on the places of kind of where the population's going to be and where you're going to be interacting with them. But like I said, I'm going to take this at face value, and then when the second one is looked at, then we'll see how maybe it's fixed some stuff or maybe it hasn't. So you go underneath this city. There's a big demon worm that is asleep outside, and it's kind of controlling people's minds. Some sort of polar or solar thing happened and kind of knocked out the worm's mental powers to control people. So You go underneath to hopefully try to get weapons and armor and stuff, and to help you survive on Chult. And I'm not going to get into all these. There's a bunch of different encounters, obviously. And there's the map. It's a good map. Again, I would have liked to have just seen it in the front. Inside, so then you go inside the frozen violet demon worm. And there's some random NPC stuff. There are some neat things here and there. And this is going to be prevalent through all the scenarios and the mega dungeon and the encounters, is that there's just a lot of strange stuff going on. And so there's the demon worms. Adventurer's going to go into his mouth and explore it. Goldschlager ooze. So this is an ooze that has little bits of gold swinging around in it. And this is where, you know, we're already going to be getting into some of the more pop culture references for stuff. And like here's Zardoz right here. Great movie. Again, Venger and I completely sync up with our love of certain types of sci-fi, fantasy, horror type 80s, 70s stuff. He references like Space 1999, which I love that show. There's tons of references, and if you get them or not, you know, if you're an older guy or girl and you know these things, well, then that's cool to see that. If you're not, then maybe it's just kind of weird. But the whole thing's weird, so it should go right along place with the other weird stuff. And there's just too much to talk about. There's some of that picture art, you know, the photo art. And it keeps on trucking. This is a ton of work. He obviously put a ton of time into this. Here's the map of the inside the violet demon worm. Each one of these little almost like little caves here is a different encounter. And yeah, some of them, they're doing their own little thing here. And these people are doing their own little thing. And it almost reminds me of like Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, where there was just a bunch of different rooms with a bunch of different crazy stuff going on that didn't really sync up. It was just stuff you wanted to see. And he does explain a lot of what that happens, you know, what's going on in the Black Pyramid. Gamma Incel Cantina is a big place for spacers and people, you know, aliens and stuff like that to come down. There's a whole bunch of patrons here. It says roll D69, haha, but like I don't know how to roll a D69. But the people are all kind of color coded in their location, so that's kind of neat. Here she is. She's actually a character that's in that's going to show up at the end here to kind of push you into the Black Pyramid. And then you get this cool D100 random ability score. It's actually kind of neat. You just roll D100 and it gives you all your ability scores for, you know, D&D. Or whatever OSR game you're playing, as well as ability score modifier arrays from modern, old school, and antediluvian, should you be playing like White Box or something like that. Again, a great piece of art here, very much Dune inspired. And then there's the map. So again, I would have liked for it to have been in the beginning, but neat map, and again, I like the color coordination. So here's the Black Pyramid, and this is going to be all pretty much most of the rest of the book. So it is a massive mega dungeon, and the players and their characters will be going into this Black Pyramid, exploring it. There's a couple ways to get into it. There it is. Cool piece of art there. It shows off some of the elves, you know, one of the different type of elf types. And things change when you leave. When you leave the pyramid, when you come back, maybe the world's changed a little bit. So a lot of tables are throughout this. I like this artist here. He's used them a lot, and I enjoy all those pieces. There's a lot of wandering monsters, obviously. There's the first one makes me laugh, Crab Raccoon. Of course, I love Crab Rangoon, so it's obviously a take on that, and that makes me laugh. Magenta Ooze, Shimber from the Stars, Night Clowns, Hunter-Killer Droids again, Black Centipedes, Fruit Folk, which is very funny. You've got a bunch of NPCs. There's already tons in the Black Pyramid, but here's a whole bunch more. I like, you know, it's got what they're doing, what their description, motivation, and what they're carrying is. Again, for any type of, you know, OSR type game. And then there's a bunch of gods that are within the pyramid of various sorts of power, so that he explains each one of those. And then what happens should you sleep in the Black Pyramid. Erak Zul is a big shithead that's in there. The Cabal is in there. These are different things that how the Black Pyramid works. The Black Unicorn is something that, of course, here, take the 70s sci-fi TV show Space 1999. And yes, there's very stark differences between the first season of it and the second one, as the showrunner from the second season tried to really up the ante with its zaniness, and I did not prefer it to the first season, but that's a whole nother story. So the Black Unicorn, if you see that, it kind of changes stuff up in the pyramid. It's color coordinated, but then it kind of says if you're running like a one shot, or if you're short on time, then just it doesn't matter about the different color territories, because you need a certain type of access crystal to get to those other sections. It's just kind of a way to possibly make the players explore more of the section that you want them to explore in that colored area. There's a glowing stripe of Zoth, which is pretty much, like a rain gutter. Zoth is pretty much the lifeblood of these old ones that have died, and it kind of fuels all of Chult. And it's explained here. What happens in between rooms? It's pretty much like circular hatches that open and close like an iris, and then there's connectivity with the different people in different rooms, how they relate to each of the different people. And so it doesn't make sense. That's the thing about Chult. You're not going to get an ecology of dungeon. You're going to get a mega dungeon that just has room after room after room of weird, wacky stuff, gonzo crazy, and you're going to have to know whether or not your player's going to enjoy that or not. Some players might not like that. They may like, they have to have everything very strict and scientific and technical. But this is obviously a ton of ideas that he had, and the only way to really do that is to just cram him into a big mega dungeon and not worry about those things. DCC has embraced a lot of stuff like that that's just kind of very weird that happens. Now, it's not to this scale, though, where things just kind of, change from room to room. But, that's something that you're going to have to decide whether or not you like that or not. It talks about gold. And then if you're re-entering the Black Pyramid, maybe what's going on when you re-enter the Black Pyramid. So here's the map. Now, the map is not extremely beautiful. It's very functional, though. So you start here in 1. This is the color-coordinated area. I do enjoy that these sections here, you can see the pyramid is color-coordinated with the map. It's got the little irises, like this one's broken up, so maybe you can't get from 11 to 16. But yeah, I think this is a neat way to do it in one page. Again, like I said, it's not the most beautiful thing, but it's very functional in its design. And they're all kind of wacky. And I'm not sure if you get on the top of the pyramid, you come down into it. If you're at the bottom of the pyramid going up, I'm not 100% sure about that. There is a lot to read, and I did my best at what I could. So you can see here, movie theater, community management. These are people that kind of welcome you into the Black Pyramid. And from each thing is just something completely different. Here's a tiki bar that has a Polynesian or tropical vibe to it. There's tons of NPCs. Now, that's one thing I'll say. Since there's so many encounters here, and they're so different, if you ever sit down and make like a D100 list, when you get to about 30 or 40, you start really hitting like your imagination, like stopping point, where you start to slow down and you're like, woof. So for him to be able to come up with so many different NPCs and different magical items, and there's monsters, and just the theme of the different room, I think it's very impressive that he was able to do that. Here's this thing again. I don't know what these things are. I mean, you look at a cinnamon bun is what it looks like, or some sort of like, I don't know, it looks weird. But probably needs to be killed. Videodrome is my favorite Cronenberg film, so obviously I was happy to see that. If you've not seen that movie, I highly recommend it. And it just goes on. And here's the fruities. There's a bunch of fruit that tries to kill you, and they're turds. Psychic War, of course. This very much is a... If you like the original, well, I shouldn't even say original. If you like heavy metal, the movie, which of course I do, it very much gives me heavy metal vibes, and that's right up my alley. Here's this dude again, looking sharp here with his big sword, his tattoo, and I'm just, I'm going through it here. So there's a lot. Carousel is from another one of my favorite movies, science fiction movies, Logan's Run, so I'm glad that he put that in. So a guy for me who knows these things, I think it's fun, and you're not supposed to take it super serious. Now, you can if you want. I think this piece is pretty cool. This dude dressed up, not bad. Kabuki Theater, Barrel of Monkeys. I'm particularly fond of that piece of art there. I guess I'll say art, that picture. for obvious reasons. It just keeps on going. So, and I've got to give him kudos for this. I mean, this is a lot of stuff. Orange Jello Cube, Cthulhu Temple, The Last Supper, and there are tons of wizards, sorcerers, aliens. There's different type of factions of like cultists and people who think they're gods or worship gods like this, devotees of Zargon or Zargon, whatever you want to call it. Tons of this stuff. So there are a lot of things going on within these kind of factions and stuff. It's not completely just haphazardly thrown out there. Chartreuse Sphere, of course. There's your Lochnar from Heavy Metal, so I'm very happy to see that. And then a great piece of art here for this terrible Laird of Zargon. And he's a real nasty foe, but a lot of cool stuff. And it keeps on going. There's clowns, so it does remind me of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And you never know what each room's going to be. And so obviously for your players, that could be something they really jive on, and you're just going to have to go with a lot of stuff. You could play this for a real long time. And of course, if you get the other 2 books, you're going to have even more stuff to flesh out your Chult experience. Here's the Democratic Socialist Republic of Yigik. Great piece of art there. I really like that one. And then here's the Republic of Democratic Socialists of Yigik. And obviously, he does kind of prod and push on some of political things. And it is what it is. If you don't like it, you don't even have to use that room. Change it up. If you don't want cannibals, don't use cannibals. If you don't like toads, don't have toad worshipping going on. Much more stuff. Here's this thing again. Like a cut-off section of a nasty creature or something. I'm not sure. But there's a game show. There's Nomads. There's the Crimson Dragon. Candy-colored horror. It keeps going, changing. Tons of stuff. The Ball Pit, the Council, the Band, the Pizza Pit, Shug-Off Sphinx. Here's this thing again. Checkmate. The Arena, the Golden Pool. It just keeps on going. The Thing, the Subway. A lot of stuff's going to kill you. I'm not exactly sure how balanced some of these things are with what level you go in. You may have to just kind of run away or talk. A lot of these things are rooms where you've got some sort of sorcerer or people or cultist, and you should probably talk to them to see what's going on. So it shouldn't be just open up the iris door, go in there and slaughter everything in there, because they might be better than you, bigger than you, deadlier than you, or they have some great information that you may need for another room in the future. So that piece of art's pretty cool with the Lich King. Here's the author. So Venger has put himself in the Black Pyramid, and it just keeps going. Silence of the Lambs. Obviously, you know what that's about. Bowl of Fruit, more of those fruities. And then here's an afterword. And I would tell you as well, you need to read the afterword as well. It's very good for, again, understanding what this is about. And then he's got his Crimson Dragon Slayer. This is one of his earlier versions of it. His kind of rules, it's not exactly OSR. It's not very big, and he added those into both the other books. And then you've got a lot of the Kickstarter backers, as well as some more art back here for that. And then a very good index, so I was happy to see that. And some sort of, get out your decoder ring and figure out what this means. And so that is the end of it. So that's Chult. Now, do I like it? I like what I've read. Would I like playing it? I think I would, but I know that going into playing this, I think everybody should you should know your audience. That's what this book is. Know your audience. Are they going to enjoy something that's this wacky, that's this kind of left field, that doesn't have much kind of like system of putting everything together in the Black Pyramid? Are they going to like that or not? And if there are people that are not going to like it, I probably wouldn't run this for them. But if there are people that can just let go, have fun, and be excited about what the next door is going to hold for them, I think you're going to have a good time with it. He's got a lot of great ideas in it. I would like to have seen a bigger like gazetteer section. I like that. I like knowing more about the cities and stuff and the world. And I'd like to have seen some of the art have been some of those cities and more of the landscape and stuff like that. So I don't have a whole bunch of criticism other than the ones that I've just said. You know what you're getting with Venger Satanis, if you know who he is and what he's done in the past. It's a great piece of work. It's not flimsy. It's really well, it's really high quality. But this is going to be your first starting point right here, is to understand his mindset so that you can hopefully be in that same mindset when you run it, and hopefully your players will be in that mindset. Because if you don't, I think you could just pick this up, and if you take it very seriously, you might not enjoy it, but you shouldn't. It's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be awesome, and have a lot of cool, crazy encounters in a brutal world full of anything goes, really. From aliens to mutants to Dune to whatever. And these pop culture references can come out of nowhere in each room. And some of them I probably didn't even see. Because honestly, I didn't read all those encounters in the Black Pyramid. If you run the Black Pyramid, you should probably know how much time you've got to play for that session and prepare for 5 to 10 of the rooms in case your players go real fast, but you never know exactly which direction they're going to go. You can control them, of course, with those access crystals. So this has been a long video, but there's a lot to talk about. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you have players that like to have fun and like to be wild and just kind of fly by the seat of their pants, I think they'll enjoy Chult. And so I'll be looking at Chult Fuchsia Malaise and Chult Chartreuse Shadows in future videos. And it should be interesting to see how it progresses. So there it is. There's Chult. So please like, subscribe. I'd love to see that, that you guys are out there watching this. Tell your friends about it. I get like 3 subscribers, and then I lose 2 subscribers, and then I gain a subscriber, and then I lose 2 subscribers. So it's just like this back and forth. Slightly frustrating, but it is what it is. That's how it goes on YouTube. So I hope this has been beneficial for you. It's a cool book. It's really well made, and a lot of work went into it. It just depends on whether or not that work is what you like. So there it is. Thanks a lot.